Brownie.
It's a podcast bonus. It's time to get classy.
Titus O'Reily.
Hats.
He talks about football. Mostly on Twitter.
280 characters.
And on this show as well.
Good morning, Titus. It might be time to change that intro because, yes, you made your name on Twitter, but you are a very, very successful stand-up comedian. You're a writer. You got a podcast with Mick Malloy called Sports Bazaar. See, I can do hosting as well. Whatever.
Yeah, that's to say, what's got into you?
Mate, it's welcome back. We missed you last week.
Oh, I was off with COVID. So it finally got me. And I tell you what.
You're the last person that comes in here to actually get it.
It wasn't good. Why didn't they warn us about it? I'd heard nothing about it. And then not since I was a kid and had smallpox have I suffered so much.
You're a polio man.
Yeah, polio. We grew up in fear of polio. I tell you the one thing I learned, the Pete Evans Crystal Light didn't work as well.
Really?
I was surprised. I'd done my own research
How much
and everything.
was it? How much did you pay for it?
Oh, I think about $4,000. So, pocket change.
Where's
I didn't notice
he now? He got cancelled, didn't he?
it. Oh, yeah, he got cancelled usually.
If anything, I think he should be hardly gone too soon, by the way. He held on for a bit. He was doing MK after that.
It showed how much you could do and not get cancelled. That's when people go, oh, cancel culture, it's terrible. And I go, actually...
Pete Evans is still on telly.
I say, a lot of people have pushed on through a lot of... And then you say to people, I had someone say to me, this cancel culture, it's gone too far. So I said, so who do you think shouldn't have been cancelled? Like, Bill Cosby? They go, I agree with that one. They can't name anyone that they're against.
Olympia was telling me off air there's a bit of a witch hunt with Cosby, but hey, what I can't wait. I can't wait for Olympia Valance and Titus O'Reily to talk sport because
No.
Valance has got...
I know what you're gonna talk about Essendon, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, you're married to a former listed player. I can't say
There's more
shit.
than a listed player.
All right, I'm only joking.
So did he get the? He did get the boot.
No,
Ben Rutten.
He's still the coach
What's
of
the
Essendon at the
Titus?
moment.
What's the latest?
Well, so this is like a terrible rom-com. So think of it like this.
Yeah.
So North Melbourne had basically pretty much secured Alistair Clarkson to come be their coach.
Yeah, how far in were they?
They were very far
Was
in.
it a handshake?
Well, I'm told it was very close. And then Essendon, who are still dating Ben Rutten.
Yeah.
Like, they have not actually broken up. They're still dating.
They're married.
Essendon sort of lets Alistair Clarkson know that, hey, I might be interested.
Was Ben Rutten's toothbrush still at Essendon's house?
It still is. Like, he's still got a drawer there. And so the weird thing about this is... So,
I reckon how they play that song, don't they? The Madison song.
I
I
reckon.
feel like the Essendon hierarchy, the board members sit around to that and play that song.
Yeah, so if you think about it, Clarkson's about to go to North, which North, a decent person, not a lot of money, but a decent club. Essendon come along and all glamorous, form a drug problem and stuff. They're exciting.
They're back though.
Yeah.
So they're exciting. And so they say, oh, we're kind of interested. And Clarkson thinks, well, hang on. But then there's a club out there, I think, that Clarkson would be better suited to.
Which one's that?
Hawthorn.
Yeah, it's a good point.
See, and that's the other thing. Him going from Hawthorn to Essendon, who both hate each other, that's a huge move for him to do. That is like,
We asked Campbell Brown about that, and he reckons that is the biggest thing that will stop Alistair Clarkson committing to Essendon because of his former hatred for the Bombers,
didn't
because of the
even know there
rivalry
was
between Hawthorn and Essendon.
I
Yeah.
thought it was the rivalry between Collingwood and Essendon.
No, they had the famous line in the sand moment, Essendon and Hawthorn, where a huge brawl because Hawthorn had been beaten up by Essendon for... This was an Essendon were good, so probably before you were born.
Definitely.
The rivalry dates
Olympia
back to
doesn't
the
remember.
80s when
I
they
miss
played
the
grand
brawl
finals.
days.
You miss them?
I love rugby now because I love that they just punch each other all the time.
Yeah, well, you love ice hockey.
Yes.
You've got to watch ice hockey
is
live.
fun.
Titus, a rivalry is only just a fan thing, and no one in the system actually cares about rivalry.
No, well, sometimes they're real. Like, so in Hawthorn Essendon's case, especially back, around that time, they really, the players hated each other. Right. So sometimes they're made up.
Well, it's funny, right, considering what's happening this Sunday at 3:20, Carlton playing Collingwood. It's sold out in a home and away game, right?
Yeah.
And we all grew up with Carlton Collingwood being a massive rivalry. But to younger people, where both teams have
Been Carlton have been irrelevant.
Carlton have been irrelevant for so long. So Carlton Collingwood games for the last, 20 years haven't been important. And so
but in the 90s,
absolutely.
it was like, they were a bit like focaccia and sun-dried tomatoes, big in the 90s.
That's a very good point.
Whatever kids.
So listen, just to have you got a? Do you know what's happening? Brownie, of course, is a Fox Footy pundit, so he'll wait till he's on Fox Footy before he actually says anything.
That's not true, Sam. I'd just go straight to the person that would know the most, because Olympia would be sitting at home around the table with TBC.
Yep.
I thought it was TBC because I thought it was Tom Bellchambers with a hyphen, but it's actually one word.
Who, if you don't know, used to play for Essendon.
He's played for TB,
Quite
so they'd be
recently.
sitting
You've
around
been doing
discussing.
an extra bit of hyphenation.
Yeah, hyphenation.
No,
So
but
I
he's
thought-
Family couldn't afford the
He's not
hyphen.
the only one that says TBC.
So I want to know what TBC has said around the dinner table. Is Alistair Clarkson coaching Essendon next year?
I don't know, but I know that he probably isn't losing sleep if Ben gets the boot.
What have you done? That's inside info.
Look how happy you are over there that
I
you
said
just.
if.
Mate, ring.
Whoa, that's big.
Ring Jackie Epstein.
Hey, hold the front page of the Sun tomorrow.
This is the Chrissy, Sam and Brownie podcast.
Your Nova 120 share today. Our dear mate Olympia Valance, Titus is in the studio, and it feels like a year ago now, but that game last weekend that you narrowly won, Titus, where were you? Were you losing your mind?
I was at home with COVID and it wasn't making me feel great. I was exhausted me. We were meant to go, you and I, Dino.
I know, free booze and everything.
Yeah, so he was going to buy me booze all night.
That's still appealing to you, is it?
Sadly, yes.
like a 21st. It's free drinks.
But
Oh,
hey,
yeah, he rings me just to ask when I'm going to take him somewhere with free drinks.
Unbelievable.
how do you feel if you lose?
Hang on, when was the last time you paid for a drink anyway?
I think 2011, but doesn't matter.
Since he met us.
Hey,
Doesn't pay at all.
if the D's lose, your second chance could go out the window. That's pretty crazy.
I know, if we win, it doesn't, so there you go.
That's a good chat.
How do you expect to kick enough?
What are you doing,
expect to kick enough goals, Melbourne, when your key forward tries to take it? You said to me he can't take a mark. Well, he can't take a mark because all he
forward
does is
doesn't
fly
work.
with one hand.
Yeah, forward line doesn't work, but, you don't need goals to win.
No,
Well said.
just need points.
You are. Are you fully recovered?
No, I'm not. Well, what do you want me to say? The forward line doesn't work, They've had that problem, though, before, and they've fixed it before.
Need to bring back David Nates.
What else?
Gary Lyon.
What about you?
David Swartz.
What are you
gonna
doing?
say, when are you-
You're looking pretty fit.
When are you going to put your hand up and help out a club? Have you had clubs approach you
Why
to
would
be the forwards
Have you
coach or
seen the
something like
money
that?
he's on outside of
Why would I do
coaching?
that, Sam?
Why?
Why would I
Because you
do
love
that?
the game, to give back something to the game that made you the person you are.
A little thing called conflict of interest, Sam. I do work in football punditry.
Yeah, I know that. Your punditry duties aside, though, you've still got a lot of time.
Well, it seemed like conflict of interest.
Eddie
I don't have a lot of
Maguire,
time.
Eddie Maguire used to call it a convergence of interest.
I didn't know this. Thomas was locked out of his sports bet account because he was coaching and he couldn't.
Yes.
Well, there's the real injustice.
Yeah. He's money laundering wasn't the reason.
Was that one for radio?
Well, now he's not coaching anymore, and he was still
He can have
locked
a
in.
bet.
He had to call them, and I was like, guys,
Yeah,
I'm not
now
in
he's
that.
a
Oh, really?
chronic gambler and everything's fine.
He's lost all his money now.
Well, obviously, during Tom Bellchambers' playing career, he's not allowed to bet on games.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
You got to hand your phone in when you walk into the locker
Well, you
room.
wouldn't have been allowed if you'd have bet off something he told you. You would have been in trouble
so we
too.
have to get someone that. Anyway,
To go to the pokers for you. Right, okay,
Yeah,
got you.
You're like the mafia. There's several barriers between you guys, and you never directly talk to the person putting on the bet.
Yeah,
that's
it's
how
all
it
makes
works.
not
sense.
that sophisticated.
Now, we were talking about Clarkson, where he might go, and you and I were saying off air, signing the big coach at another club doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't.
But also some of my favourite ones are people who've had incredibly short stints at coaching.
Signing the big name in radio doesn't always work, as we've found out this morning.
So Jock McHale, who coached Collingwood,
McHale.
huge star.
He coached for 30 years.
He coached 714 games over 14,000 days, right? So he came in. His successor lasted 4 days.
4 days.
4 days. He went to coach. It was Bevan Woods. He was the seconds coach. He was told he was going to take over. And the fans got so angry, he coached one practice match at Victoria Park, and the fans were so angry during the whole match, he just decided, I'm out.
Brownie, imagine taking over from a bloke who's coached for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's a
It'd
tough
be a
one.
And
fair
you
shadow.
lasted 4 days.
Yeah, it'd be a fair shadow.
Jock
Big
McHale didn't come
shoots.
back, though, did he? That was it.
No, and then he ended up
well,
having a heart attack while watching the grand final.
Oh,
Yeah.
he died.
Yeah. A few days later, he died.
That's
and
a good
so
way to
did
go
John
out,
Wren.
watching your favourite team.
Yeah, that's the way.
Did his team
So
win?
you wanted...
Yeah, they won. Collingwood
Wow.
when they won.
There we go.
And
Now,
they carried him off the ground after it.
this is one of my favourite, Charlie Climo. Have you heard of
No.
Charlie Climo? So Charlie Climo. So I was just a young kid, 1931, and he had been a St Kilda player, and he was a firefighter from Ballarat, and he'd coached Golden Point and Ballarat to premiership. So he gets appointed in 1931 coach of Geelong. Right in that year, they won 17 of their 21 games, and they win the premiership against Richmond easily. And everyone's like, this guy is the greatest coach of all time. First time he's coached in like country football, suddenly comes here, instantly coach. So they all assume he's going to coach the next year. But the 8 applicants that put him for the position, he wasn't one of them. He says he's not coming back. And the reason he didn't come back is he only got a 6-month leave of absence from his employer, which was the local brick makers in Ballarat. So he's like, well, I could keep coaching Geelong, but I've got this pretty sweet gig at the brick makers. I'm going to
So that was his one and only season, coach?
So he coached one season, then he went back to Golden Point, and it was the middle of the Depression, so he said, I won't charge you because I've got this sweet gig at the bricklayers.
It's hard to get your head around that, isn't it? That, you know,
A different time. Well, it's a bit like Fred Fanning, who still holds the record for the most goals in a game, 18 goals. It was also his last game. But he was only about 26 years old. He went out and coached in the country because he got more money playing in the country.
Yeah, the country you got was bigger.
Yeah, big coin, Sam.
The other thing I love is what Clarkson or whoever's going to coach Northnet, they're going to have to do a lot of trades. And this caught my eye this week, where in the Romanian second division in soccer, which I always keep a keen eye on. Like, I know you all...
You like that, Olympia?
Yeah, you're keen on the Romanian second division. It's one of the great ones.
I'm not across it.
There was a guy called Giulio Petrosani, and he was a player in the second division, and he was announced he was going to be traded, and he was traded for 500 kilos of pork.
they didn't bother to just throw in a couple of players? No, they went absolutely fine with
They
the
want to
pork.
make some salami.
So it was during the official transfer window, and they said, "Oh, we need to trade you," and they said, "And we'll trade you for 500 kilos of pork, which was worth about $4,000 in Australian dollars." And they said the president of the club said we had to trade him for the pork so we could sell the pork to then pay our other players' salaries.
Mate, in the last 20 years, there's been some Carlton players I would have traded for a very similar amount, by the way, but not this team, not this current team.
Listen to
Titus.
Sports Bazaar.
Oh, yeah, how's the
It's an
podcast
amazing
going?
It's going very well. We've got a good one coming up on Monday about John Wren. So if anyone's interested,
Oh, the godfather of Collingwood.
yeah, absolutely.
Famous
So
bookmaker.
Sports Bazaar, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good luck Friday night, mate. We'll see you next week.
Chrissy, Sam and Brownie, Ripper Show will be back tomorrow. Chrissy, Sam and Brownie, unless it's a weekend.
Over 100.